Oh my god, I love being motivated. I love being motivated.
Me too.
I love being motivated.
Yay! I am Brett Dupree, your inspirational, passionate life coach, speaker, author, extraordinaire. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something interesting that I went through this weekend. Something that made me say, I performed a speech for my Toastmasters group as I'm honing my big 50-something minute speech for my book launch, which I'm really excited about, by the way. I'm so excited about how my book's coming together, editing and everything. But something interesting happened. The way I used the story is I talked about the rise and fall of a relationship that I just had. And to me, the lessons that can be learned from both the rise and the fall of the relationship, what I have learned, what I'm learning to make me a better person. And the way I see this story and the way the feedback that I received from this was very interesting to me. Because the first half of the speech, it was about 26 minutes, for the first 12 minutes I talk about the importance of listening to your inner voice, my inner voice, and how it got me into this relationship and how that worked out, like just perfectly. And the second part, I talk about how not listening to my inner voice caused it to fall apart. And the feedback I received was that I took too long to get to the meat of the story, which he thought of was the fall of the relationship. Which just really got me thinking, is how much we as humans are on learning from the negative. I'm not saying that learning from the negative is bad. I learned a lot from my reaction to being broken up with. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about how I want to be represented and how I want to share my message and who I want to be, and how, when it happened, I was not being it. Yeah, I'm flawed. I mean, it's obvious that I have flaws. I mean, for one, I'm a pretty big guy, and it's not like I'm going to think, I'm going to be a really big guy. I'm a flawed human being, and I'm up here teaching what I've learned that has helped me improve my life and helped me become a wonderful, more joyous person. But the interesting part to me that really stood out was the fact that he practically discounted the first part where I got into the relationship by listening to my inner voice. Almost as if it was just wasn't as important. And that just got me to thinking, that's not the intention of the story. The only reason why listening to my inner voice getting me into the relationship is at the beginning is not to introduce the fall. It doesn't exist for that reason. It exists because it happened before the fall. And that's it. To me, they're two completely separate stories with the same kind of opposite spectrum of the lesson. One, listening to your inner being can get you into something magical. Two, not listening to your inner being can get you into something embarrassing. Can have you act in a way that you're not proud of. It made me act in a way I wasn't proud of. And they're both separate. Like the first part can be a story on its own, and the second part can be a story on its own. All I have to say is I was in an awesome relationship, and then talk about how it fell. I mean, everybody knows. You know, you've probably been in a relationship. If you're watching this video and you're over the age of 20, you've probably been in a relationship that ended. There's a really good chance of that. I mean, you might be one of the lucky ones who have been in an amazing relationship, or you might be one of the unlucky ones who just have never been in a relationship, which is possible. But you know someone who died. If I told you, or if you've seen movies, if I told you I was in a relationship with a loving woman, I don't need 12 minutes to explain how that relationship works to talk about the fall. Which, now I'm going to add this to my speech, where it's really talking about what does this say about you if you look at the first part as setup. Because a lot of emphasis, especially in America. I'm not saying this is bad in America, but this is pretty much almost all our romantic comedies, books, is learning from negative happenings. In fact, if you have a movie where nothing but good things happen and the protagonist, learns all his lessons from all these amazing things happening, that is not an interesting movie. It would be interesting if they could make it an interesting movie, but that's not a movie that's going to make lots of money. The movie that's going to make lots of money is someone falling and then rising again. Or if you want Dark Knight Rises, fall and rise, fall and rise. Which is kind of a shame if you think about it. I mean, you can learn a lot from the things that happen positive in your life. I mean, there's no reason to discount positive teachings. There's no reason to discount doing well and then learning from what you did to allow you to do well. If you did well in your interview, looking at what you did well and focusing on those strengths is just as valid as focusing on the weaknesses. You want your strengths to be strong. You don't need to just focus just on your weaknesses, just on the things you need to improve. Life isn't all about learning from the negative. Life is also about learning from the positive. So go out and learn. In my book, I talk about, there's this old saying, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. But that should really be replaced with, sometimes you win, you always learn. Even when you win, you learn. There's always something to learn from victory. For instance, how to win. How did you win? What did you do to reach that goal? What did you do to accomplish that? What did you learn from that? Why would you discount victory from learning? Learning is one of the most important things you can do in your life, because why not? That's a really silly, not why not, but why wouldn't you learn? Learning is the most important thing because it allows you to grow. It allows you to keep on growing. And to discount the positive things in your life, discount the lessons from your victories, is a way to set yourself up to not have more victories. So, learn from your negative. Always learn from your negative. At the same time, the lessons you learn from your positive, the lessons you learn from the things you've done in the past that worked, are just as valid. So next time you hear a positive story from another person, learn from it. What could you gain from their positive story? What can you gain from your positive story? Next time something good happens to you, what can you learn from that thing? What can you learn that allow you to do it again? And build on those joys, build on your celebrations, build on those lessons from your positive as well as your negative. Namaste.
JoyousExpansion.com. JoyousExpansion.com. Come and say hello to Brett Dupree. He is an inspirational life coach, good for you and good for me. He turned my life from grey to blue, I'm sure he'll do the same for you. Get in touch and you'll see your life will change dramatically. JoyousExpansion.com. JoyousExpansion.com. Yeah.